Let's see. All right. And we're live. Welcome to episode 12 of the SoNo show. And today I've got two special guests with me, friends that I have known of for quite a while since I've started doing this. Um, First, I've actually had them on this show before. Moy, I believe you was on episode 3, and then Hanz, you were the test run. You were the guinea pig of this operation. I remember that first stream. It was pretty interesting because I had no idea how to. I didn't have these headphones at the time, and I kept had a feedback loop going, and it was just an absolute disaster. But I'm glad you guys are here. Thank y'all for coming on.
No problem. My pleasure.
Hey, yeah, you're welcome. And we did fine that first time, if you ask me. Live and learn, as they say.
It was pretty rough, but I mean, it is what it is. So yeah, I'll let you guys introduce yourselves. Tell us a little bit about yourselves, Moy.
Yeah, I'm up here in northern Utah. Currently learning the ins and outs of construction. I've really been enjoying it. Recently doing a lot of framing, setting in cabinets, staircases, trying to get some new skills under my belt. I'm pretty decent at roofing at the moment, so I decided to switch over to full, start to finish, foundation to finish work sort of construction, and just learning a lot at the moment.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. That's outstanding. It's good. These are skills that are, absolutely worth having, I believe. I mean, it's something that, we're going to need eventually. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't agree with all of the modern construction methods. There's a lot of plastics used, a lot of nasty adhesives and things like that. I mean, it's effective, but there's got to be, we had our people's had construction on lockdown for a long time. I mean, we've got some beautiful architecture and building methods. I'm sure we could go back to something more
traditional.
Wholesome. Yeah,
traditional, I guess you could say.
Better for the earth.
Yeah,
but it's my impression is a lot of those skills will be able to transfer over to other building methods. So that's
when necessity strikes, we'll find a way.
Yeah,
sure,
absolutely.
It's all about being creative. That's number one. If you're just creative with the materials you have, there is actually a lot of modern stuff that we won't need anymore. And just need to. I guess it's always good to have like that foundation to start off, and from there, be innovative, and then you teach that to the next generation, and henceforth, and all these old building styles that we have lost, in fact, they will come back in due time.
I believe so too. Yeah. We've been on the server that we're in. We like sharing a lot of these bushcrafting shelters that people will put up, like the Celtic roundhouse. There's some other Germanic styles as well. Just beautiful things. Just good stone construction. It's labor intensive. It'll keep you in good shape, but man, the finished product is just beautiful.
Oh yeah,
the true workout when you're actually building stuff and increase your physical capacities at the same time.
Yeah, that's all those stones, those logs, and putting them in place. It's awesome. It's good stuff.
Honest hard work. True work, not a job, but work.
Yeah.
That's the big there's a big difference there, if you ask me.
Absolutely.
That's work that's actually enjoyable, in my opinion. I sure a lot of times I miss doing. I used to lay block and do masonry work, and I miss it sometimes. Let's see who's we got in the chat. Hailstorm, it's good to see you. Spoke to you earlier. Aethel Wolf, I'm glad you could stop by. Alan Kidd is here. Hello, Alan. I'm glad you could finally catch a stream. Alan says that learning trades will carry you through all the way of your life. I'm thankful to learn from Dad and Grandpa so much. Sure saved me money. Yeah, that's absolutely right. That's one of the benefits, you could say. If you know how to do something, you will not have to rely on other people to do it for you. Hans, you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, it depends on what people want to know, I suppose. I have my own channel, Hanz on YouTube. You can look that up. I've been trying to get on other media, but so far I've had some difficulties with that. I'll get there eventually, I'm certain. I talk
Yes.
about, well, basically everything on a daily basis I'm pondering about, I like to share, and I know that I've helped people with doing so. That is to say, help them help themselves. I like to
Yes.
put it that way. I provide, my insights, if you will, and without too much chest thumping, yeah, I get a lot of people who come back to me and say, you know what, that insight that helped, or now I look at the world in a new way, and that helps my life with this, that, and such and so. And there are also some people, like yourselves, like Moy, that behind the scenes, or whatever you want to call that, behind the curtain, we also exchange a lot of information, thoughts, all that is good, and try to reach out to people. And that is my contribution so far towards our people. That is something that's very important to me. Yeah, what else could one want to know? I definitely am one of those that adheres to his own ancestry. I have no interest in any foreign ways of thinking or what have you, except perhaps if there is pinpricks to pluck out of it that could be useful, or if it may actually be a warped version of something that our people once practiced. And as far as war goes, the job that I've been doing of late was, what would you call that? Roofing, if you will, but helping with the layout of gardens on top of roofs. It's a new concept for most people. It has something to do with drainage of water, and I suppose returning a little bit of greenery to cities and all of that.
Yeah.
And intense labor as well. Try like on a regular day, I'm lifting between 50 to 200 kilos of stuff, basically on a roof, with a ladder, and no lifts or any fancy stuff.
That's some
I
roofing is some very tough work. It's tough work.
Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure Moy can say something about that as well.
Oh yeah,
It keeps you in shape. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, that's
I'm glad. This is awesome, guys. I mean, we all knew this before, but just having a bunch of blue collar, down to earth, good old boys. That's good stuff.
Yeah, it's good to talk about things.
I don't think that. Yeah, there's actually something to add to that. Usually what you see on the internet, and it has its value. Most guys that are out there, and they're these regular speakers and what have you. Most of them, yeah, they come from these more scholastic backgrounds and what have you. Again, that's all fine and well, but to see an angle from, I suppose more regular guys might actually also be quite insightful. At least I hope it will be.
Yeah. It has its place, but good, honest, physical labor. There's something about it. We all have the experience where you look back on your day's work, and I put that together. I ran this shipment. I took this entire load from A to B, and you
fixed it all up.
You can stand up.
It was yours.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that transfers over to what we're about. Hans and I, we've been in friends for a while, and we're really focused on putting something together. Putting up. We've got our community online. We'd like to, put it in the earth, set up the foundation, if you will. So that's what we're about.
It's one thing the internet is great for in technology. It seems is a way to connect people. But then again, it's like we're all separated by hundreds, if not thousands of miles. It's hard to get together, it seems like, but you can still learn things and, better your own situation. I mean, hell, me and you, Moy, we're separate. We're on the opposite sides of the country practically.
Yeah.
Hans is on a different continent completely. So I mean,
back in the old country.
The advantage is, it's instant postal service, if you will. Back in the day, if you wanted to talk to, or send a message to your friend, it took like 3 weeks before you got a letter or what have you. I mean, so in that sense, we definitely have that advantage today. And it's what can one say? In regards to sharing messages with one another over the internet, instant as it is, well, which is perfect because that saves time to actually act upon that in your personal life, right? A lot of people are, I think I speak a little bit to something you mentioned in your last video, Southern, that there are a lot of people who are, I could be wrong, so correct me if I got it wrong, but that there are a lot of people who are just waiting out there for their savior to show up, right? Is that, it's part of it, right? And I'm just thinking to myself as I heard that, well, it depends on the people, whether they get something useful out of listening to what you have to share with them. It's totally their personal choice, and you got to respect that. If they're going to be a couch potato after they listen to you, it's on them. If they're going to do something with their life after they listen to you, again, it's on them. And then let things sort themselves out as they will. That is, as I see, what the reality is. And that is, it's not your responsibility or anyone that shows up on these streams to tell anyone else what to do or not to do. No, you have been given that responsibility as an adult. Take use of it. Grab your sword, if you will, as they would put it in Lord of the Rings. Grab your Narsil or Anduril, if you will, whatever that means.
Yeah. So I figured what we would talk about today was an interesting conversation us three had a couple of weeks ago on Discord when we were all just talking about the different ethnicities of Europe, the Garden of Europa, I guess you could say, and how we're all different, how we're all similar, and it's not just here. We could even broaden our scope and talk about the various parts of our people's lands currently. All the way from South Africa where Ethel Wolf is, Australia where Dawn Browning she is able to stop in here. She's down there in the land down under, and Hans, you're in Europe, and we're here in the United States. Namey McNameface, he is in British Columbia, I see. So, those different ethnicities, we're different. We're really, truly a very, I don't like diversity, at least not the way that we are. It's shoved upon us. But, amongst our race, there's a bit
of varied people.
Yeah, exactly.
A people of varied cultures. I think that's a nice way of putting it. Wide variety. How does that sound?
Yeah.
Wide variety.
Yeah.
Is that a good one?
Absolutely.
We should have called this the White Variety Show.
The only diversity that matters. I'm excited to get into this because the last time we talked, Southern, I'm still very, very much in touch with my Slavic side of my family, but I wanted to make a clarification because it would be dishonest to say that's namely my identity because it truly isn't. I am American. I am a part of this new garden of Europa because in addition to the Slavic side, I've got a lot of Baltic ancestry as well and Celtic. So I'm sure there are many around in the chat and just our guys in general. We hail from all these other houses of our people's lineages, and it's bred certain conflicts, but not conflicts that we left to our own devices couldn't solve or haven't even. I mean, one example in particular I could think about is the separation of Czechoslovakia. You know, you have the Czechs and the Slovaks who are cousins. They're very similar. They're yet they didn't want to be forced into one overall state. That's completely up to them. That's you know, I respect that decision, and from my understanding, they separated largely peacefully, and they're still in good relations today. So you know, if we're left to our devices, we can solve any of these you know, I guess
territorial disputes. I guess you could say.
We can do that, and we've done that time and time again. Houses marrying into each other, you know, great shows of respect, competitions, you know, sports. That's a good way to, you know, kind of release that that competitive energy in a productive manner. Once you get these
dueling,
that's
a big one. Dueling.
We have a lot of ways that our peoples can come together in and work out these territorial disputes.
Yeah.
So,
you know, instead of having some international group of some sort, you know, like after World War One, all these formation of all these, you know, it was just artificial boundaries, artificial lines, and you know, ethnicities were separated, and I mean, it all, you know, it helped lead to World War II and all of that, and we've seen it with the balkanization, I guess you could say. Back this one was much more violent, you know, back in the
and that's another that's the well, to that point, that's the opposite side of the coin. You know, again, the Serbs and the Croatians, no matter, I mean, they are similar peoples. They're very similar as well, but they were forced in a situation where they're pent up, and unfortunately, especially our corrupt, you know, our corrupted version of the United States had a lot to do with the bloodshed that took place there, not letting these peoples sort it out peacefully among themselves. That's the opposite side of the coin. That's the, you know, the unnatural forcing everyone into the same sort of pen.
Yeah. I mean, how many different nations came from the breakup of Yugoslavia? How many were they? You know, I'm not.
Let's see.
There's Bosnia, maybe Serbia.
Bosnia,
Herzegovina, Kosovo. And there's probably more I'm forgetting.
I think,
you know,
well, Croatia as well. I think that might be.
I'm not very familiar.
But yeah, I mean, you can even bring it to the more modern day. I mean, like in this very moment while we're talking, there is a conflict going on between Ukraine and Russia. And from what I have garnered, I'm not going to say I'm no, you know, master on the topic, but from what I understand is that if you ask on the ground, so to say, to the locals on either side, it's like, you know, what do you think about this conflict? Like the populations on both sides are like, we don't want this. It's political struggles, you know. It's like they like these governments are going at each other, like, well, what you call that? A sort of political class gang war going on, and as usual, regular people are dragged into it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's going on as we speak right now, and I hope that more attention is drawn on that, because lives are being lost as we speak. Again, like, how many more times does this need to happen in our history? I remember maybe digging into that real quickly, Moy. We once talked about, you know, the Slavs, even, you know, since when? It's like, what's the century? During the time when the kings had like the winged hussars and everything, that there was already this attitude of we are all Slavs, we are all from the same blood. Why the hell are we slaughtering our own brothers? Like that attitude. How can you perhaps?
When the that would have been the heyday of the Commonwealth, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, probably around 1700s and 1600s, around that time.
Yeah, so
Yeah, there's this old
400.
there's this
Excuse
old
me.
legend of the brothers Lech, Czech, and Rus, and it goes back to, that's their ancestral memory. These are Rus left for the east, Czech for the west, and Lech went south on their journey. I don't remember the full folk tale, but it's a
I guess that's how they.
similar. I guess it's similar to Hanz and I don't know who are the Anglo-Saxon founding brothers.
The
You know who I'm
founding
talking
brothers,
like
Hengist and Horsa, the couple. Do you mean them? Or are you talking about Sax? Oh, did he break
I
up?
think he's breaking up. You there, Hon? You there, Moy? Okay, I see you now.
Can you hear me?
You there?
Oh,
Can you
Yes.
hear me?
all right. Yeah. Little hiccup
Like,
there.
are you talking about Hengist and Horsa? I think
Yeah,
they were a
Hengist and
couple.
Horsa.
Yeah.
Similar sort of thing. You have these brothers who set up great tribes of our people, great nations, and they remember those deep ancestral lines. I mean, that you can always find people who have been, taken in by modernity and propaganda and who want nothing but war on either side. But that's my experience as well. Talking to some Russian pen pals, Ukrainian pen pals. This is stupid. We don't want. I have my brother's wife is Ukrainian, vice versa. We have family there. It's all bullshit.
Yeah,
Then
it
the
is.
same goes. Yeah, in Southern. I think it was you a few videos of yours ago. Or I think so. Did you mention that there was like this guy who was from the north who married a woman from the south, or vice versa? Like he was from the north, but he actually joined the Southerners in the war, or the other way around, or did I catch that somewhere else?
I'm racking my brain right now. You may have caught that somewhere. You may have caught that somewhere else. I know.
Oh, okay. Never mind then. Sorry. But I
No, you're
remember
good.
such a tale. I remember such a tale of a man. He was from the north, and his wife was from the south. Like he, married this
During the
the
Civil
southern
War.
lady. Yes. Yeah. War for Southern independence, and he's being from the north though he decided to fight on the side of his wife's family because he understood. For him, he understood. In his view that there were atrocities being committed in the first place, and it's like he was just going to stand by his wife. But there you see the madness of it all, right? Like, who tells us to do this to one another? And then it's the folly of our own people to well, there is of course something like the forced draft. Let's definitely keep that in mind, which is just war slavery, as I call it. But how many guys, they get their heads are pumped full with all of these ideals of these other whiteys are the bad ones, and you're the good guy, and we need you to help the bad defeat the bad whiteys, and off we go. And we, every one of us has faced that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just an example of that is a classic example is the Germans. The Germans are always the bad guy in every fucking Hollywood movie. Germans and the Russians have always, perfect.
We have all. Right. Yep, it's excellent because that shows that we are all being confronted by this propaganda still today on a daily basis. It's always the same people who are doing it too, and that is, I think most people understand it already, but it's good to bring that up. And it's good to realize perhaps that from another mouth is that, wait, I have been facing this and I am seeing this in real time. And this isn't just a thing of the past. It is happening right now. And it has been going on clearly for centuries. For centuries. How many lives lost? Like, I think it would make all of us ill if we had the actual number.
Yeah.
Straight
Yeah,
up.
I'd probably actually prefer not to know the number. To
Yeah.
be honest.
Yeah, there's a way there. I mean, it's not. Some people I can imagine say, "Oh, well, this is utopian. How could we expect our various peoples not to fight each other?" We're not saying that that there won't be conflicts. It's what I think we're trying to
Mhm.
get at is that there's so many ways to minimize this sort of all out total war that we get caught in
It's really
time and time
sense.
again.
Conflict is necessary. Competition is necessary. I mean, it
Yeah.
happens. It's inevitable. But what we endure is just absolutely unnecessary conflict. It's fucking nonsense.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, at which point, yeah, that is the thing. War in an earlier concept, as I understand it, is that it had more ritual around it. It was you had in the big in the first place smaller, far more local. One tribe sends its youths to, and another tribe sends its youths, and they clash somewhere on a field, and a lot of that might have actually just been the case of to figure out, okay, who here is a coward, who here is going to stand his ground, who here is going to be the dummy that is going to charge off by himself, whatever it's going to be. It's it's partially a character test, and you can see that also in how a lot of youths today behave. Is that they're not, these days it's so bad that they're not even given anything to live for anymore. Hence all the debauchery, the hedonism, all of that. But back in the day, it's like at least then you knew who you were after the
Yeah.
initial class, and of course that is preceded by your training, your upbringing, all of that, and toughening of character, all of these useful things. But today, it's just all of these nameless people from across another side of the planet, and it's just hose them down with lead. It's like,
Yeah.
what is this? This is not.
Industrial scale slaughter. It's just sick.
Yeah, it's just a meat grinder. It's like what is going on, and how can people stand by that?
Yeah.
People will say it a million times how horrible war is, but here, it's just ongoing. It doesn't quit. Like there is something there that we really need to understand, is that you might just be slaughtering your own blood, or you might just be looking at it while it is happening. That doesn't mean that you're personally responsible for that, but if we can imbibe that understanding to those around us, to the next generation, at least people might hopefully then think a second time before they stick their arm up in the air and they follow the next big leader or whatever it's going to be. In fact, the very concept of leadership and politics should be, as I see it, really questioned, as in, does it even deserve to exist in and of itself? But that's me. Yeah.
I think leadership
the
is
results.
natural. I think we talk a lot about this as well, observing the same problem. I think you'll get men and women who step up to the plate. They have the the drive, the spirit within them to take on certain responsibilities.
It's a natural hierarchy. This is something that Hanz has spoke about before.
Yeah.
We need a natural
rather than the artificial. The artificial hierarchy is what we see today. We all live in it. There is no avoiding it. The natural one, maybe just to lay it out real quick for people who haven't heard me on that before, is what I understand under the natural hierarchy is that we basically look at the people around us, and let's say you have 5 guys, and every guy is more talented in a certain field. So how does natural hierarchy play out? Well, let's say one of these 5 guys is a fisherman and they want to have fish. So who is going to be the leader, if you will? Well, it's clearly going to be the guy who has the talent for fishing, right? The other guy is a plumber. Okay, what does that mean? They need to do plumbing on their house or whatever it is they live. Well, you're going to listen to the plumber. But then the fisherman, so to say, he falls back in line, so to say, with the other 4. And it is, in practice, it may be a bit complicated, but it is about understanding the people around you, which is also healthy, by the way, because it encourages socializing. Now you start to know people more, you're working together more, and society in and of itself becomes more cohesive again, which is also a big thing that we lost, right? contrary to this artificial hierarchy where it is just, you live in it. I mean, that doesn't require explaining, I think. I just wanted to lay that out real quick for the people who might be scratching their head on what I might mean with that. I think that clarifies it a bit.
I think so.
Yeah. So in that sense, I do truly believe that imbibing that wisdom, that insight, and then trying to lean back to the natural hierarchies, like who is the best for which certain field. And when these people show up who say that they are the best at everything, or that they deserve special attention or more money or whatever it is, then you know that that's the people that you gently invite to leave, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that is how I look at it, because we see what happens if that isn't done, and it's horrible. It's just pure horror. What else can you call it, right?
Yeah, it's the bloated mass we're all living under at the moment. These just this artificiality pervades everything.
Parasite.
And the foundation of that, by the way, just want to bring that up. Mr. Barry, our communities and tribes is very important, and I agree. It's that so long, it's very important that each person in question always bears in mind to be to self-improve. That is key. That is absolutely key. Every single individual self-improves within his or her specific range of talents, interests, experience, whatever it's going to be. And so long as that is done, things should be quite okay. Even if you then have your village, if you will, and you have no plumbers, well, go visit the next village. It's like, hey guys, do you have a few plumbers? We could use some help with that. We have farmers. Do you need some help with the farm in exchange? That sort of thing. It sounds,
how it used to be. Well,
it's how it used to be.
Yeah,
it's how
you
it
have
used to be.
a natural sort of barter system. Hey, come and help us with this task. We've got some, I don't know, some delicious fresh cheese that we just made. We've got a whole bunch. You could all have some.
Yeah, there you go. Or whatever it's gonna be. Exchange a service for a service. Bake me some pots and I'll get you some timber. Whatever it's gonna be. And then again, that is all very simple. I understand. The reality will be more complicated. But if we can at least start working towards that, and to make money less important in our lives, that would alleviate so much stress in and of itself for most people today, which also makes the hold that a lot of these artificial hierarchies, if you will, have over us, loosen. Because it's all about money today. That's also a reality. You don't have money, you're in deep trouble. It's you just end up on the street with nothing. But if you have people who help each other out like that, well, it is from one person to the next, or from group to group, even if you really want to look at it that way, where you can keep each other going. And that in and of itself is, that is how we've survived for millennia. That is where our empathy comes from, or what it serves. Or empathy serves that, or vice versa at the same time, actually.
Yeah.
It is very healthy.
I think our empathy is taken advantage of a lot of times. We're not we're not emphatic. I don't know if that's the correct word. White altruism is one of our problems, I think. We have all this sympathy for all these other people who have no sympathy for us, and we don't have sympathy for our own oftentimes.
That has to be
anti-rights.
Yeah. There was a couple of things in the chat I was wanting to mention. Barry R. McCain, I'm glad you could stop by. Barry's got an interesting YouTube channel, and he is also an author. And you can find him on Amazon.com. And I'm going to search his books up whenever I get done here. Let's see. Nordic Iron says white unity in every situation is what we need to regain. Once even half of us are united again, we'll be able to do anything once more. That is true. Honestly, sometimes I have thought that perhaps we wouldn't really even need quite half.
Less
I
than
mean,
half.
yeah, I mean,
Far
Mm.
less
I've,
than half would do.
I any revolutionary movement, I think it really only requires about 10% of a population, and then everyone else. It's
Mm.
the extremities. Going back to the American Revolution, I think I read that it was only like 10% or so of
I think
not
Yeah.
maybe not even 10% were actually involved in the fighting against the English. So, anyways,
it's if I recall correctly, they've kind of made an estimate of Scandinavia over the centuries, on how many on average went Viking, so to say. And I
yeah,
think like
exactly.
the percentage, if I remember correctly, if memory serves, like like it was between 3% and 10%, somewhere in between there. That
Mm.
is, I mean, meaning, what does that mean? 90% of the entire Scandinavian population just stayed at
Wasn't
home.
even yeah. I mean, someone had to
Like
keep
that is,
keep things going on with the home front. Let's see.
yeah,
Nord.
absolutely. I mean, just saying that is, you don't need a huge number at all. You just need committed people.
Yeah, that's really what you need. Also, I wanted to say hello to Nord Crom, or as we know him, Nord Lux. I'm glad you could stop by. And Space Jew, glad you could stop by as well.
That's an
Space Jew,
interesting name.
I like Space Jew. I came across Space Jew on through Apollonian Germ's channel, and
Hmm.
I talked to him a little bit on Telegram. Uh, Yeah, Nordlux, or Nordcrom as he's known on here, he says, our empathy is the basis for our higher culture. Yes,
I
yes,
would
I
argue,
think so.
yes, I would agree.
yes, absolutely.
It just
Weren't
Move
you?
out of
again,
love.
it just has to be. It has to be tempered. We have to have the right amount of in-group preference, in-group empathy, and outward aversion.
Exactly.
Again, we're not. It's not like people say that.
Can I
Oh,
jump
red
in?
flag, red flag. But that's yeah. Go ahead. I'm trying to find.
The way how I look at that is uh, to move out of love. That it sounds corny and it has been so abused, I know. But if you truly care about other people, you will not stand for them being hurt. And by extent of that, you're gonna get in the way of those who will hurt them. I mean, that's at least as I see it, simple logic there. Is it always possible? No, but it depends. I think part of the art of loving your people and doing things for them is don't try to get too much at once. First, aim for what you can achieve on your own, and if you then have a few friends along the way, then you can start thinking about, okay, what more can we do? And that is actually key. Look at what you can do. Don't look at what others are doing. And it can be very small. It can be as small as, hey, neighbor, you have a flat tire. Let me fix that for you. It's very simple. Because otherwise your anti-white boss, for example, is gonna toss you out of his company or whatever.
Mm.
These little things can change the entire. These sort, I should say, the attitude. That attitude can change everything and will change everything, because then that neighbor is going to be inclined to do something back, perhaps,
Yeah,
and
we
then
get
the
our
two
high
get to
trust societies back that way,
building
Yeah,
up trust.
or high
You got
trust
it.
communities. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's where
yeah,
it's at. Building
that's
trust.
been a that's been eroded so sadly. That's one of the
Mm.
that's a video that I'm planning on making here in the future. Is I've been doing a lot of research into my region of the country here, southern and by extension, Central Appalachia. I've been researching a lot of our folklore here, a lot of our old
Mhm.
tales and rituals, you could say, and traditions. And I recently ordered a book called Witches, Ghosts, and Signs by a guy named Patrick Gaynor. Hello, Finn Wraith. It's good to see you here. Glad you can make it. But this guy, Patrick Gaynor, actually, y'all speak for a second. I'm gonna go grab this book real quick because there's just something briefly I want to read. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Let me mute myself. I'll be back in just a minute.
No problem. Yeah, I wanted
Just
to clean up one of the points I was trying to make is you have this experiment that was run, the prisoner dilemma, where you have this game set up where any of the players, I'm not expressing this the best. I'm sure people will know. They can fill in the details here, whatever I miss. But you have this game basically where you have one person who decides in this interaction that they're going to trust the other person, and they're going to assume that they're an honest actor that they can deal with, and the other person is going to backstab them at any time they get. So that's what I was talking about. You have to, with the outward aversion, what I'm talking about, you have in mind that most of these populations, they don't have that same sort of that high trust, that sentimentality that our peoples do. And it's just, again, it's kind of obvious, I guess. We're all living in this situation where our gardens are being pilfered from. But that's the sort of bad actor that you're trying to eject.
You just put a wolverine next to, I don't know, a wolf next to a bear, put them in the same cage, see how long that lasts.
Yeah.
And then consider, and then, people would argue, oh, well, but due to the cognitive abilities of the different races of man, we can, we can sit next to each other. Yeah. And how well has that been working out? And it's, again, and I can't say it enough, we are part of nature as man, and we all have our specific habitats that we belong to, staying with the topic of the garden, right?
Yeah.
And our habitats for every race, it's somewhat different. Africans are more savanna type people. Whites are more for temperate and boreal areas. You have you have certain Asiatic races who are more inclined to live near what would you call it again? So not really tundra. It's like a step shorter.
Yeah, the steppes.
Thank you. Steppes.
Yes.
And so forth and so on. But now you have these types on, these anti-life, anti-nature people, as I would call them, who they build these hives made out of concrete and plastic and glass, and then they stamp everything together. It's just, how on earth is that respectable to anyone? Not just destructive to us, but to anyone. It's insane. No wonder there is so much depression.
Yeah.
Well, it
absolutely
is true. I do think that perhaps there are some races who are much more suited to living, in closer proximity to each other. I think East Asians do better than, white people probably do with, living in closer proximity with each other. We look at, the East Asian countries, like China, for instance, very dense populated areas. It also goes for India. The South Asian Indians. Seems like isn't India like the most densely populated country on Earth right now? I believe
so.
It's an absolute mess over there.
I don't know.
Yeah, it seems in our people's cases. We'll set up cities and things like that, but we've always enjoyed and seem to need some breathing room.
Space.
You want you want your neighbors around, but you don't want them living right on top of you all the time.
You don't want them up your ass, basically.
Yeah.
Well, what I was going to say too, is our cities. I mean, if you look at a picture of Berlin there in Europe, or any European city, hell, even any American city,
Yeah.
you look at the cities from back in the 1800s, late 1800s through
Artistry,
basically through
lots and
19.
lots of artistry.
Yeah, the architecture is just immensely beautiful.
Yeah.
So it's so beautiful. And
I would call that architecture. It doesn't sound
Yeah,
very well, but
that's a good.
I mean, it's yeah. If you compare that with today, just the blandness. I mean, and I can
It's
tell you this
modern
much.
art.
Yeah,
Modern art.
Mm.
It's modern
yeah,
architecture. Holy
right.
shit! It's so depraved.
Oh yeah.
And I think a lot of this art, this modern art and modern architecture, it's placed there. This is all by design by the true
Yes.
victors.
Absolutely.
The true
Yep.
victors of World War II is who has
Mm.
promoted this. It's you look at it and you're just like, what the fuck, But then I think it places a sort of a disturbing sort of subconscious messaging, I guess you could say.
Mm.
You look at it and you feel that it isn't quite right. Something is off about it. Something
It
is
kills you.
it's not congruent. It's just
It
something
kills the soul.
unsettling. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. That's the best
Yeah.
way to put it. It kills the
It's-
soul.
It's alien. It's
It is.
bizarre. I mean, I'm looking a lot of this big plant behind me. It's just I fucking hate this. it's
It looks-
it's a sort of it's a colonial sort of thing. We're setting up our cultural capital, and this is for all you peasants. Look upon this in despair. You don't have your gods anymore. You don't have your art anymore.
Yeah. I was actually listening to an audio book of that book of William Luther Pierce's the other day, a book called Hunter. And I forget there was he was talking about, World War II, like in one of the characters was speaking about it. There was a German sculptor. His name wasn't Gregor or it was something, but he was this sculptor. He was a personal favorite of the Austrian artists, and the Austrian artist, his government, they commissioned this sculptor who was immensely talented to put up all these beautiful works of art. They sponsored him. Whenever the war was over, a lot of the Allied nations, I'd say, namely the United States, they destroyed a lot of this artwork. And this artwork was, truly European. It expressed our people's soul. And when we came in and, fucking destroyed it. I can't remember the artist's name, the sculptor's name. It's killing me right now. But
There is.
someone in the
I want to
chat.
actually. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to quickly mention also that it's not only the architecture. There is actually a lot of psychologists of the day, and they truly had a lot of insight into man's mind, and like very important aspects of the mind that most of us today we're not even aware of. Like we don't even know how shall I put it? We don't know ourselves in so many ways. Like it's astounding, and people who want to control us, they did it on purpose. You have like your you have your Jungs and Nietzsche's and all of that, but yet also guys like a Wilhelm Reich. That is a name that most people have never heard of, and he's not a white guy. I mean, I mentioned that, but this dude's insights on man are whether you like it or not, like deeply insightful, really helpful to help man understand himself. Trying to think of a few other names right now.
And it was.
Yeah.
I was going to say it's not even in just perhaps I guess you could say the field of psychology and stuff. It was also in anthropology. There was
So much.
Madison Grant is. I've read a couple of his books. I really enjoy his work, and he was correct. Madison Grant was highly regarded in Europe and the United States back in the 19-teens, 20s, 30s, and his big rival at the time was a guy by the name of Franz Boas. And this guy was, he was a member of the tribe, and he was diametrically opposed to what Grant had always written about what he professed. And, after the end of World War II, it brought about the huge shift. It was just a huge shift in every aspect of culture and, our civilization, you could say. People like Grant were shunned, labeled as, racist, anti-Semitic, all the buzzwords. And guys like
Anti-white
Boaz,
slurs.
yes, and Boaz was all of a sudden paraded as, the champion anthropologist, the man who was correct on every count. It's just anyway.
He's done a lot of work to mess with our people. He's done.
Oh yeah.
His works especially really clouded,
degraded
people's understanding. Yeah.
It's a bit of an insider, but remember, Southern, that I mentioned of frequencies, that this was something that Nikola Tesla was looking into.
Yes.
And they shut them down. And that, with frequency, to everyone that's listening, I've shown Southern and also Toboi a video where, true to frequency, and believe it or not, they could make the water run into all kinds of patterns, and even
it's amazing. Amazing.
I kid you not, the water with a certain frequency, it ran upwards from the ground. Yes. It went up into the tube again that it came out of. It's just
it was
astounding. Can you imagine? Yeah.
I was going to say, I think Namey McNameface knows what we're talking about. He just put 440 hertz in the chat. Yeah, if any of y'all have ever seen these videos,
thank you.
It is amazing what these people can do with sound frequencies, sound waves.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine that Nikola Tesla was not shut down by these anti-whites? What kind of a world we would have lived in today? It boggles the mind. It absolutely boggles the mind. The world would be completely different.
We would still have our gardens.
We'd have our garden. Our garden wouldn't be weedy and just run down.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hailstorm, for adding that quote.
If you only knew the power of 3, 6, and 9.
I recommend looking that up, people. Look up what would be a good title, like frequencies, and then type something in like patterns of frequencies. You're gonna have a lot of fun with that. I promise. Show it to the children; they'll enjoy it too.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, a lot of potential with it, as I see it.
Oh man,
we can reclaim it. That's the thing. I guess going back to that, that you don't need half the population. I mean, that's not even possible with us, anyways. Most of our people, they don't give a shit about their ancestors. They don't care either way. Whatever, dead weight. They're anti-whites.
Oh, cool. I just learned that. I just learned how to do something new. I learned how to show people's comments on here. Hell yeah.
Awesome.
I just accidentally showed hailstorms. I'm like, oh wait, sweet. How'd I do that? Then I figured it out.
But yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
There's a little treat for everyone. And bear in mind, like, who knows how many hundreds, if not thousands, of geniuses like that have been thrown into the historical dustbin. It's that in and of itself is a crime that we're not even aware of. How many unspoken genius is maybe lying in some library somewhere, or is used by these anti-whites that they kept it for themselves but denied it to the rest of us, obviously. All of that, it's definitely something worth looking into, even if it's just the surface. I'm actually glad that we managed to slip that in there. Because it is very important.
I was going to mention too, a lot of that research that you and Hailstorm have been doing is it's quite interesting, Hanz.
I'm not going to take too much. Yeah, I appreciate it, but I'm not going to take too much credit for that, because most of that research, excuse me, is Hailstorm and myself. We've been looking into it, but the actual man who did the hard labor, if you will, of that research is called Michael Tsarion. and he's also definitely worth checking out. Again, it's up for people to take it up as they wish or not, but he's definitely worth looking into. I can promise you one thing though: if you go look into him, you will be challenged. Your way of thinking will be challenged, and be ready for it. And I can promise you that if you are ready for it, you'll garner a lot out of it. That's a promise I can give.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've heard you talk about him.
I've only known of him for the last few weeks at this point in time, and I mean, most of what I've gotten out of his content so far just blows my mind. I do actually have. I do also watch his premium content, which is behind the paywall, but on the internet, you will find plenty of videos of him that are worth looking into as well. So start there and see if it's for you or not. I'm not telling anyone to do anything. I can only recommend.
Yeah. I know you sent me the link to it. I need to look into him. I know I asked you for it last week, but I haven't got a chance to look into it yet. I need to do that. I might try to do that this evening.
It's it's go get Miranda, set yourself next to her and check it out. It's fun. It's what would you call it? It will challenge you, but at the same time, personally, at least, I have fun doing this. I can't get enough of it.
See, that's good to find yourself something that you're passionate about to research. I've been reading a variety of things here lately, and I will say this past winter, which winter's still going technically. Unfortunately, here where I'm at, it's about 70 degrees outside right now. But I have managed to read a lot of different things this winter over a lot of different topics. During the spring, summer, and fall, I don't really have a lot of time for reading because I usually, when I'm not working, I'd prefer to be working out in the gardens backside, out in our backyard, or doing a lot of fishing. But it's important for us to look into these things, and it's well worthwhile what you can learn.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Boy, man, I'm really jealous of you right there where you're at, how you're able to stand outside. I'm sitting here in my broken. I'm sitting here in my broken lawn chair that I broke right before we started streaming.
You're just getting too massive, Southern. It's like the muscle just keeps building.
It's just
physique.
Physique. Juicy.
Yeah. Ain't that the golden one that talks about that?
Yeah, that fella.
I've not watched a lot of the golden one before. Is he pretty good? I've heard he's
good.
Really.
I know.
He's a good.
In a long time.
He's a good coach. I would put it that way.
I know Varg.
Yeah.
I know Varg always used to give him, poke fun of him and stuff. But I mean, I've heard other people say he's a really positive guy.
The thing with Golden One, as far as I know him, and take it for what it is, I haven't checked up on him in a long time. I used to watch him for a few weeks or so, or a few months. I can't quite remember that. There's like that one unfortunate affair with the whole parade thing. That's like, but other than that, I only see good things come from him, and he is very encouraging. He's actually. He sets himself up as somewhat of a role model. I don't agree with everything he says, but the overall attitude I can definitely stand by. And I'm not going to be too hard on anyone. I have a lot of work on myself to do as well. And we're only beginning to claw our way back up from our fall. So you're going to have to take some flaws with the good and focus on the good. And let the flaws slide with time. That's how I look at it. I think that's the healthiest. But yeah, that's my take. I can appreciate what he does for as far as I'm aware of what he does. So yeah, we can go right at it.
Yeah, I'd like to check out his stuff again. I've only watched a couple of his videos, and it's been like 2 or a couple years ago. So it's like. Nordic Iron said in the chat, "Hail Marcus, the Golden One, absolutely based." He's really positive, seems like, and we need some positivity. It's like you were saying too. Out of all of this, all of these people that we can follow or that produce stuff or whatever. There's people that I follow or I've read about. I don't agree, and I'm sure, hell, even you two. There's probably some things that I think that you may disagree with, but I think what we got to do when we research stuff is to try to we can take what we like from a variety of people, and then just leave the rest.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's my attitude.
Yeah,
that's how I look at it.
Speaking of that, I've been looking into Dr. Pierce's old broadcasts and his mentor. What was his name?
George Lincoln.
There we go. Yeah, George Lincoln. I've liked a lot of their stuff. They're very reasonable on many fronts. But it's just like you say. There are many holdovers of not so good worldviews that I think they still admire too much. But at the same time, they are right on point about so many things. It's just amazing how foresighted they, predicting all the because they saw all the patterns right when
it was starting to happen.
Yeah, there was really accelerating. It's just amazing to go back and hear that perspective. But you can, yeah, it's like you say, you take what works and leave the rest behind.
Yeah.
I think they could be more folkish, but they've done some good. So I appreciate them. Definitely.
I know. You can take things and learn different things from them. But I think, like you mentioned, Pierce, I think his views, at least in, I guess what we'd call, American white nationalism, Pierce's views are the closest, most congruent to mine, I believe. Absolutely. But it's like you said, it's amazing that these guys were able to see this, I hate to say it. I wasn't able to see this, until, I guess it was in 2015. That's when 2015 woke up a lot of people with what we seen was happening in Europe with the, the migrants, the invasion of, Middle Easterners and Africans and such. I'd say that woke up a lot of people. And that goes back to another thing. I think reality is the best way to wake people up. Reality is, we can, I hear a lot of people, they talk about red pilling the normies and stuff. It's just like, we can put this stuff out here, but you can't lead a horse. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Yep, exactly.
And
that was the case for me too. It took me till 2019 because I'd been seeing all the signs for years at that point. But no. I was a rational, a skeptic, right? I was an edgy centrist atheist, and nothing could tell me. And then I was confronted directly to it with it when I think I talked about this the last time we spoke on here. Moving to Colorado Springs, that was a that was a big wake up call. It was a big culture shock. And it was a big slap. I deserved it too because I talked a lot of shit and I had all sorts of bad habits as well, and that was the kick in the ass that I needed.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And we all need a kick in the ass sometimes. That's for sure. I know I've needed them several times in my life. Let's see. Let's see. We've been going for about an hour here. I was thinking we could go for about another 10 minutes or so. I'm gonna try.
It's up to. I got time. It's up to you guys.
Yeah, I've got time. I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I'll go.
3 hours. We'll go another. I respect other people's time as well. So we'll go.
We'll talk another 10 minutes or so. I'm gonna try to.
I really just quickly want to say, I appreciate it, guys. That you can actually muster that, and that is actually something that a lot of our people need to learn as well. Is that when you make mistakes, to own up on them. We all make them, and it's all okay. And then to be able to say, you know what, I fucked up and I learned from it, and now I'm moving on. And than to help other people along the way, or to show us like, quit sitting in the muck, get yourself out, and start walking along as well. That is, these little things do so much more than all these big speeches that I've heard over the years from others, and it's of all these political plans and all of that nonsense as I see it. No, just simple people trying to do what's right in the means they can. And and when you think about it, if all of us or most of us or a critical group, a critical number of us just decided to do that, it would all turn around in the same day that everyone decided to do that. It really, in a certain sense, is that simple. Okay, it takes a while to get on top of yourself, but that is life, that is, at least you're working towards a better future rather than, how shall one put it? There are people that I've seen in, let's say, 2015, who are in the exact same place today. It's like, what are you doing with your life? All this focus on nonsense. Wow. So well done on you guys.
Well, it's an ongoing campaign.
That's life. That's life, Got to keep moving day by day.
Eternal struggle builds eternal strength, basically.
It's a nice way of putting it. I actually wanted to, that is to say, I had kind of expected we'd go a little bit into, let's see what I've written down a note. I'm just going to look real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, something in regards to, since we only, since you have to go in a short while, I've actually written a little list of foodstuffs that are maybe worth looking into for everyone, and also a few things to stay away from. But, I mean, does that interest you, or do we keep talking about what we're on about right now?
You can go. Go ahead. Go ahead. Tell us what you got. That's cool.
Got about 14 points. So I guess some people will definitely appreciate that number. All right. So apple vinegar, for example, guys, check that out. It's good for the gut, and you will be every teenager's fan, because if you have a pimple, for example, and you get rid of it, if you then dip some apple vinegar into that, it actually cleanses out all the filth inside. It's good for your skin. It really helps. Or just preemptively coating your skin, and that will keep your skin nice and clean. And it helps with digestion too if you drink it with some water. The second point is raw milk and raw honey and nuts. They're just great nutritional support. This is something I learned only yesterday myself.
Hell yeah, Hans. Keep it. This is something we need to hear. Yeah, keep going. Keep going.
So this is one I learned only from today. Turmeric. I hope I pronounced that right.
Yeah, I think.
Listen to this. It increases immunity against infections, cancers, fungi, and allergies. It enhances the teeth, the brain. It improves memory. It improves digestion, the heart, and the lungs. It reduces inflammation and is a natural painkiller. Might want to look into that, guys. That sounds like quite a super food, right? And it's a spice. Like you can, I don't know, put this in your tea or in your food. I don't know quite what it is, but from what I understand, it's a spice.
It's a type of spice you can put into some different foods. Call for it. You can also put it in tea.
Does it go well with pork?
It may. I'm not sure what turmeric is flavored like, to be honest. I know Miranda's got some there in our pantry. I'm gonna try some here shortly.
Yeah, I'd give that a shot.
Hold on. I'm gonna get some right now. Keep reading, Hans. Keep reading.
So there is a mushroom called lion's mane, which also enhances. Yeah, this is also a memory and cognition and nerve system enhancer, and it also reduces inflammation. So look into that as well if you want. Next point is meat and eggs, to give your body protein, and this is the sort of material that your body builds warmth with. That also, just as a little side note, a lot of vegans and vegetarians, I think actually all of them, wonder why they're always cold. Well, there you have your answer, because you need those two to actually build up, physical warmth aside from, exercise. But then even then, so yeah, and also in addition to that, let's say you've charred your meat. There are some people who are worried that you can get cancer from eating like charred meat, and apparently that there is some truth to that. Rare as the chance is, but just eat some mustard with it and you're good. That actually balances it out. Yeah, believe it or not. This is one that most people probably won't know. Coconut oil or tallow is excellent for rubbing on the skin or in your hair. It really helps you. How you best go about it is you heat up your skin, like put it in warm water, like your foot or whatever, your feet, and then rub it in with coconut oil or tallow, and it will improve the skin like almost with it instantly. It's really good for you. And of course, you can use it in your cooking as well. So there is that multi-purpose. Another point is to cook with animal grease, with fat, tallow, suet, or butter from uncooked milk. Absolutely. That's also a big something you should look into. Let's put it.
Don't throw out that bacon grease. It's delicious.
No, use it. Use it for cooking, guys. Use it for cooking.
That's one thing I have to give credit to Miranda for, is because she actually saves all the bacon grease and she uses it for other things.
That's very good on her.
She's good. Yeah, she's a good cook. I'm lucky in that regard.
We really should have like some channel with a bunch of ladies who just get together and share their cooking skills and what have you. That would be awesome.
That'd be awesome.
I was going to say, Hanz, if you don't mind me to interrupt you for just a second, I was going to say,
go ahead.
If you guys wanted to here in the future, I'd like to have you all again and us do a stream just talking about this stuff right here, this sort of health stuff, because I actually, y'all know Bormagny leather scraps, right?
Yes.
Me and him,
I know him.
Yeah, we a couple of months ago we were wanting to do a stream just talking about fitness stuff. He's into a lot of the stuff that we are speaking about right now. I'd like to get all four of us together on a stream.
Yeah, martial arts actually. He's also into martial stuff.
Yes. I'd like to get all us three and him on a stream together and talk about a lot of this stuff, because I think that would be because me and him, we were going to talk about, fitness and, stuff like you're speaking of here, but I'd like to get all four of us sometime here in the future to talk about this. Anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Continue.
All right, so we're halfway. In addition to that, fruits and vegetables for vitamins. I think everyone knows that. And here is a little extra. Citrus fruits, particularly lemons, can clear headaches by cutting them and inhaling the smell. So basically, it sounds a bit silly, like you're huffing lemon, but it actually can alleviate headaches, except headaches that are caused by muscle tension. Then a massage will help usually.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it sounds strange, but instead of going for all these painkillers, try that first. Like cut up a melon and just sniff it, basically. It should help with your headache. Lemon is best. Citrus fruits in general will also help, as far as I can tell. I've tried this trick, and for me it definitely works, and I know other people that it has worked for as well. So yeah, that's a very cheap way to get rid of headaches.
Sauerkraut as well. Namey McNameface.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yes,
I stand by that. I always love my my sauerkraut as a side with my nice chunk of pork.
German wink somewhere. Yeah. Another one is another point, omega-3 from cod liver oil. That doesn't taste very well. That's to say, the taste is doable. The texture is a bit difficult, I suppose, for some people, but it's very healthy. It's really good for you, omega-3. The next number 10, fresh water. Again, most people would know this, I suppose, but it's always flush your food through with just water, guys. Stay away from soda and all of that stuff. Now this has less to do with food, the point 11, but this is a suggestion to massage your partner and let him or her do it for you as well. That improves blood circulation and alleviates muscle cramps, obviously, and it's great quality time. Like, what is it with going to professional massagers or whatever? It's like, no, look at a tutorial or look it up on YouTube and do it with each other and talk a bit in the meantime. It's really, there is something that can liven up your relationship if it's a bit in a dip or whatever, or it's just nice to do along the way.
It's just human affection. Human affection.
Yes, absolutely. It's really good for you.
Releases oxytocin, I think is how you say it. Oxytocin.
I'm
not sure.
That's
it's the love hormone.
Yeah, it's a love hormone.
It's definitely good for you. Now, okay, that's and all of that in mind, guys. Of course, I mean, I don't need to say this, do I? That ideally you get all of this unsprayed with poison or meat, that doesn't come from all these hormonal treatments and eggs that, have some sort of substance in it because they inject the chicken with something. Yeah. I don't need to say that, right? The ideal is to have it unmolested, unspoiled.
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, that all of this, look into it. Look into it. Yeah. It may yet be worth it. It may yet be like that single thing that really, or not that single thing, but it might just give you that extra boost in life. There are 3 more points. Oh yeah, and magnesium. Sorry, I forgot to mention magnesium.
Yeah.
But I just got it whispered in my ear. 3 more points on what to avoid, and this is a big one, guys. Like, avoid processed sugar and avoid processed grain as well. Like, regular grains ought to be okay if it just comes from nature, but what they grow on farms these days, please stay away from it, because it only turns into sugar in your stomach, and it may as well be like you just had a sugar cube in your system, or multiple. And just stay away from, and just to mention on the side, alcoholic beverages based on grain are also pure sugar, basically. And I suppose if you had enough alcohol in your system, you see what sugar can do to you, right? So there is one to try to best stay away from. Also, a big one. Avoid cooking with seed oils, and so-called, aka the so-called vegetable oils. Yes. Just as an aside, vegetable oil does not exist. They're all seed oils, and they're just downright dangerous, from what I understand. And you can look up Nina T. Scholz if you want. I'll spell out the name: Nina Cholz. I think I got it right. But yeah, that should be close enough to find her. She has a few videos on YouTube that really speak about what seed oils do to your body. That might actually alarm you quite significantly if you haven't looked into this yet. I really recommend that one I really recommend looking into that. And the last point is, when someone shows you a food pyramid, then tell them that nutritional ingestion is cyclical. There is no food on top. There is always need for renewal, and that's it. And I hope that's helpful for people.
That's awesome. I appreciate you reading that to us.
You're welcome.
That's something we'll have to talk about in our stream that we will do with Ormagni here soon. Yeah. We'll try to
get my hands on some turmeric. That sounds pretty promising. Turmeric and lion's mane. I really wanted to try that mushroom for a while.
I've heard of lion's mane. I've never tried it though.
I just really quickly answering to a comment: is olive oil a seed oil? No, olive oil should be okay. You might have some people who just can't digest it very well, but olive oil in of itself should be fine. Shouldn't be an issue. It's definitely not It's definitely better than these seed oils. I can tell you that.
Yes,
Mm.
man, that's awesome. I wish we did.
That's yeah. I mean, also, one of the reasons why I mentioned this is because you have so many people out there. It's like, no, you need to eat only vegetables, and the other guy says you need to eat only meat, and the other guy says you need to eat only
I
meat
don't.
and cheese. It's like,
Yeah, I don't
guys,
agree with
come
that
on.
necessarily. I
It's
don't agree
like
with that.
it's just stop. At the end of the day, how I look at that is, yeah, put in your face what you want there, but let other people look into it a bit deeper. Like if there are those who say, I cut my nutritional supply to only a certain amount of meals or a certain amount of foodstuffs of certain kinds, it's all fine, go right ahead. But I much rather look at the full scope of what is available and what can actually physically help you. All else is just looking in to see what works for you personally, right? I mean, that only makes sense to me. Instead of all
I think.
this dichotomizing.
Yeah, I think meat and dairy are the most important, but I think the others are important as well. That's how I look at it. I eat a lot of meat, eat a lot of dairy, and but I mean I
Hmm.
also eat my vegetables, my grains, my fruits. It's I think it's good to be balanced, but I like to lean heavy on the I guess what you would call animal product. The meat or the milk, I guess. Oh, but yeah, is there any last words that either of you guys would like to say before we do this again?
Well, I kind of wanted to circle back to the idea of the Garden of Europe that we had. Is that
I know
we
we've
might?
we've we've jumped around a whole lot, you know.
I think I mean the nutrition side it fits into the garden conversation.
Oh
I feel
yeah,
like, but
absolutely.
yeah, getting back to just that, we we often have we hear this sort of derogatory, Meramut or whatever, and
Yeah,
whatever
that was
colonists
that was
former.
something interesting that we talked about in our last conversation I'm glad you brought up. Yeah, tell us about
Yeah,
it. Tell us about it.
well, it's just another one of these anti-white slurs, really, because
Yes.
you look at all of the the harmonious unions of these different European houses and what they've been able to accomplish over the years. I mean, you can always find examples to the negative, but there are reasons for that. And what I want to leave people with is, your identity in these new gardens of Europe. And I'm speaking more specifically to the former colony countries that we find ourselves in. You know, make being an American mean something. Make being Canadian mean something. It's only it's only derogatory if you allow it to be, right. You
Yeah.
you hail from all of these, like myself, for example, Slavo Balto Celtic Union. it's 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 awesome to be able to look at all of these houses and the traditions involved in them, and then to see this. It's a challenge nowadays in modernity, obviously, but at the other end of this, it's without that eternal struggle, there wouldn't be glory, there wouldn't be
True.
Hmm.
life and beauty and meaning. So
That's
make
true.
make your part of the garden mean something.
That's some good words right there.
Exactly.
I'm putting a link to your channel, your YouTube channel here in the chat,
Cheers.
Moy.
And
Um,
no, I this applies to me as well. Like we were saying before, I'm not getting up on my pulpit here, and I have a lot of good advice that I need to still heed. But
oh yeah, I understand.
we've all got to make our gardens beautiful.
Yeah,
Bloom.
that's just some reasonable and sound advice. Uh, Hans, I was going to ask you, will you put a link to your YouTube channel in the chat so people can know where to follow you?
Oh, I will do that in a moment. Yeah, we'll get to that.
I've also got the links to to your guys' channels in the description box below. Lawrence, we love you too. over
Cheers.
there in England.
Hail.
And Hans, you got any last words you want to say?
I would say there is no such thing as a Euro mutt. There is only a white person that hails from several houses, which is combined in his or her lineage, and that comes with a responsibility, that carries, basically at minimum the two houses that you hail from, if not more. That is that's not something to feel insulted about. That is something to feel proudful about. That is something to take to heart. And it is something that, if you are of noble incentive, that you will protect. And to quote Michael Tsarion, is that if you have a great enemy, that means that you are great yourself, because only the great have great enemies. And I'm going to leave it at that, and you all have a good one. Bye-bye.
All right. We'll see you later,
folks.
Thank you guys so much for coming on and having this conversation. We'll have to do it again soon. Like I said, I'd like to get Bormagni on here with us. I tried to roll the R there. I'm not very good at rolling my R's. But thank you guys so much. I want to thank everybody that stopped by. And I hope y'all have a good evening or morning or night, whichever part of the world you're in. And we'll do this again soon.
My pleasure.
All right.
Take care, folks.
Y'all have a good one. Bye-bye.